Hi, I'm Jeannie, and I'm from Quilt Central Academy, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that people call me and ask me about so that it's on video and then you'll be able to see it because that makes it a little bit easier. One of the things is what encoders do. If you have a stitch-regulated machine, then you have something that counts your motion. So if you look on this machine here, here's a little encoder. It's white and it rolls, and if I roll faster, it rolls faster. So this reads motion left to right. This machine also has another one on the other side, and it's over here, and it reads north to south, let's say. And there's a little snap on these encoders so that it will hug either the track in the back or it'll hug the wheel where it's rolling. There's quite a few things about getting that just right. This screw that goes through this axle right here, that is holds the encoder to its position. But this little piece across the top here, this little, I call it a bar, is a handlebar. And if I turn it to the right, or turn this one up towards the encoder itself, it twists the spring that's inside there and makes it have more snap on it. Oh. So as you sew along, things loosen up just from vibration. So this can all of a sudden lose its grip, so to speak. And when it loses its grip, what happens is the signal from these encoders go to the computer chip, but it's not a pure signal because it's not hugging the track, or maybe it's got thread around it, or maybe it's picked up some fuzzies or something. So then your needle will skip. You will skip stitches. It'll feel like the needle won't come out of the fabric. It drags. You can even break a needle, and sometimes it completely stops. Your whole machine will stop and you're thinking, oh no, it's electronics or whatever. It's not, and I'll tell you how to test that. So in your screen, according to which brand machine you have, you can go to manual mode. That is a non-stitch regulated mode. Some machines say constant and some say manual. And when you go to that mode, you're turning your encoders off. And when you turn them off and then run your machine, then you are based strictly on speed. So you will either have a dial where you can turn the speed up, or you will have a percentage where you can tap the screen and that'll bring the speed up. It works just like those rheostats on a fan, on your ceiling fan, where you turn it up, you give it more power, and it goes faster, and you turn it down, and it goes slower. So manual mode is controlled for speed that way. So these encoders, when they're turned off, then you should sew with your machine north and south and east and west and round and round. And if you're not skipping, then we know that it's an encoder problem, because when you turn it on, then it's reading the encoders. So you can test an encoder. So you just try to sew just north and south. That's all. Trying to make a line of stitching and see if that one there is the problem, because the other one's not rolling. And then you can sew east and west, and that'll test the other one on the back end without rolling this one. And then you could see if the skipping problem is that one encoder. Then you know where to start looking. So that's how you can decide. Here's another thing that people say to me. Well, Janie, mine only skips when I'm running the computer. Well, the computer systems run off the stitch regulators. Well, you cannot run a computer system, not only on most models anyways, in manual mode. They just turn themselves on, so the encoder's part of it's on. So then you're skipping in computer and you think it's in your software, but it's not. It's still in the encoders. So you need to just go to your regular sewing machines and do the test I just suggested. Turn them off. Run the machine. If you are skipping stitches and they are skipping when your machine does not have the encoders on, then that's another troubleshooting list you have to go down. But this one I was just telling you because I wanted you to know how to troubleshoot an encoder problem. And most people don't know how much snap to put on them. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got enough to hold it to the track. But if I turn that little handle there, that little bar tighter, I can actually get it so tight it won't even snap. So so you have to be careful with this one that you don't go too far with it. And then sometimes the axle's loosening up, so you actually stick a screwdriver in there, tighten it up, and work the handle at the same time. So you'll be holding the screw tight, and you'll work the little handlebar on there so that you can get that adjustment to be just perfect. It's tricky, but you can do it. And I think that we have a lot of machines out there that people think they have other issues, and it's just that. Yes, encoders go bad. They do. They wear out. They get oval tires. They get dirt and fuzz inside of them, and you have to replace them every once in a while. So most of the newest encoders are white, and those are called ESP encoders. Then before that, we had black ones, and we had black ones with no spring on them, and people actually taped quarters and stuff to them to weight them down to hold them down to the track. And then a little later, we got some that had a little wire system on them, so they did have springs. And then the third ones went to this. Black encoders are really hard to get a hold of, and so if you have a really old machine, you might be looking at an upgrade, because you can have the electronics stripped off of a machine and then go ahead and get a new set, and then they'll run off the newest encoders, which are the white ESP encoders. So that's about encoder adjustments. So then these robots that are on here, we seldom have a problem with a robot. It's usually hooked back to the encoders, and just as I said before. So you can, on the older machines, if you had an older problem, you could actually switch the plugs, which are over here on this one. These little white ones. I'm going to come over here, Gabe, take a look. So each encoder has its own wire that goes from the encoder up to this here, and so they each had their own port reading north and south and east and west. The newer ones, if I switched them, I wouldn't be switching the air. But on the older machines, if I switched the plug and I went north and south and east and west, and I had a problem east and west, and then I switched the plugs, my problem would switch to north and south because I switched the plugs, but not on the newer ones. They are just reading a little bit differently. So that's all I have to say about the encoders on this particular machine.